Morning, everybody. It is 8:10 a.m. It is September 23rd. Welcome to my channel. Yesterday was very interesting. Very interesting. Yesterday, we kind of made a move and we were consolidating. And I was looking for a long. Let's go for a long. And I had a couple confluences in that long because we pulled back to Friday's highs. Also, we breached last week's highs in the SPY, let's say. And believe it or not, there was a setup there. There was also an order flow trap as well. And I'll show you that in a sec once I do the whole morning routine. And I was like, I really like this long here. And then I heard, because I listened to this particular squawk for news, that NVDA was investing 100 billion in OpenAI. And I was like, oh boy, that should be bullish for NVIDIA, which hence should move the market, right? And I was already thinking of going long, but then I said to myself, we're right by the VPOC. And recently, when I've traded not near it or developing VPOC, if anybody understands that, it's good. It's like a high volume node. It sometimes has trouble, and I wanted a price to pull back more for me to go long. But then that news came out, and I was like, this could be it. And around, I believe, 60, let's see here, 67.31, I wanted to pull, I believe, enter. I believe that's where my entry was going to be. And a stop, I think, at 67.28. I was going to do it, and I said, you know what? It's getting a little later, and I don't want to sit here and get caught in a VPOC because the initial move wasn't that strong off that news. Pulled back, and then I saw NVIDIA start to take off, and I'm like, this is probably going to go. And what do you know? The market just started ripping, and I'm like, oh my God, I would have hit my target easily. Easily. 3 point stop. Even if I had a 9 point reward, I would have got hit. That would have been high day. And I was just like, God, man. And then you know what? I really pretty much took the rest of the day because I'm like, internals were pretty strong without that news, and then it just got out of control. It's a little story for you guys this morning. Now, a lot of things. This market is dead right now. Dead. And I've been talking about the Rosh Hashanah because my daughter's off school. She actually had a half day yesterday. She's off today and tomorrow for Rosh Hashanah. Only thing I could think is this is what I'm seeing, this barcode for the overnight. A little range. And I mean, it is like, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. 19 hours we haven't done anything. This doesn't bode well for the market to move today. I'm not really looking forward to it. Wow, that's a lot of hours to not do anything. It really has done nothing. The relative volume today, I can show you that real quick. You can see it's not good. We're at 86% in the ES of normal volume. 100% would be normal. NASDAQ, 79%. So the relative volume is poor. It was poor yesterday. Okay, but then you had that big news yesterday that just, what happened was, I said it in my Discord. Okay, let me bring it to my Discord real quick. I'm going a little off map here, but I'm going to show you what I put in my Discord here. So, of course I was talking, saying that you don't want to fade this market. Let's see here. I was saying a couple notable things here. VPOC, SPY daily chart has 2 equal days now today. We are inside that range. This is building out a balance area. All right. Let's see here. Relative volume. I said over 67.21, and yes, should hit the previous day high 67.31.50. We did. Apple hit its expected move to the upside, and then I put here moment of truth here. Do we break out, or do we just profit taking commence? Well, then Apple broke its expected move to the upside on Monday, right? And I was like, wow. And what do you know? Apple went under that expected move. Not a shocker, but then closed above it, right? And just a crazy day. Okay, just a crazy day. Now, with that being said, let's just get right into it. Welcome to my channel. My name is Steven Gonzalez. I use market profile and buying profile to find structure in the markets, along supply and demand, gamma exposure levels, the most traded price of the year, the month, the week, and the previous day. That is my edge. That's the way I find structure in the markets. Use anchor view outs as well, market internals to know what's going on under the hood of the markets. Bookmaps my execution model, or how I execute, and my weekly expected move indicator, where you can get for free if you sign up to my Discord. Okay? Now, hopefully, every morning you join me. I give you the market story. Have a cup of coffee, tea, water, whatever you want to drink. Let me be your news. Okay? Let me give you what's going on in the markets. All right? I think this is educational for everybody. About the first 15 minutes of my stream every day. You have a 401k, if you just sitting back, you want to hear what's going on, I will let you know that, right? Then I give you a bunch of technical analysis, followed by long and short trade scenarios in the ES and NASDAQ futures. Okay. Now, if you want more in-depth intraday commentary, you join my Discord. That's Confluence Trading. Go to the YouTube homepage, click on the link, sign up. What are you waiting for? Okay, let me be your indicator. I just showed you yesterday the Discord, right? I constantly update, right? I don't just give fluff. I give really important TA. What I'm seeing, what I think the market's capable of, and what setups I'm looking for. Now, yesterday, once that happened and I missed that, I was pretty much done for the day. Pretty much done for the day. And what happened? We just continued to move higher. Based on those internals and everything, I just thought we were going to move higher. And we did. And NVIDIA went out of control. Right? Now, the reason why NVIDIA went out of the control, okay, was because it was consolidating. NVIDIA was consolidating. This broke out of the consolidation. That's why the move with the news was so big. Okay? It broke out. All right, if we look real quick, might as well, we can look at it. Let's look at NVIDIA here. If we just look at NVIDIA, here we go. Let's go to NVIDIA here. Here's NVIDIA. So we just had a big move, okay? Almost hit its expected move to the upside. And you can see what was the prior stuff going on here. I mean, if you want to draw lines, you have like a wedge, right? That's what you're doing prior to this day. Okay? Look at all this. You've been moving sideways in NVIDIA. Okay? So, that's why you had such a big move. I mean, even if we want to go tighter, right? You can go with this, right? And any kind of move when you break out of like diagonal instead of a channel, it's big. It's more powerful. There's more energy coiling up here. Okay, that's why you had such a big move. Boom, you went to last month's highs, just like that. So pretty crazy. Pretty crazy. Okay. Now, let's just go right into futures. Like I said, this price action is horrendous right now. Okay. I don't know what that, I mean, like I said, I think I said it was 16 hours and we haven't done anything. That is not great. Okay. That is not great. And we're going to go to who's the leader today. That would be your Ethereum. followed by crude. Up, Ethereum's up 1.40%. Crude's up 1.19, gold up 1.10, silver's up 0.82, Bitcoin's up 0.74, Russell's up 0.15. 30-year bonds being bought, but only slightly up 0.11. Dow's up 0.10. Dollar is flat. Nasdaq's flat. ES is flat. See, they're flat, but they haven't done anything for 16 hours. 10-year yield is down 0.24. The VIX, interestingly enough, this is very interesting. The VIX is 16. And we just made that monster. That's a little, that's really interesting. I would expect us to be at like a 14 VIX. Interesting that the VIX didn't get crushed by this big move. That's very interesting. Let's look at the Mag 7 Plus. We got Boeing today. Boeing's up 2.40. Tesla's up 1.36. Now Tesla had a nice big move yesterday and sold off. Now the expected move for this week is to the upside is 461.53. Okay, now Tesla's back up 1.34%. Coinbase up 0.58. Broadcom up 0.56. Meta's up 0.31. All right, let's go to laggards. We have Apple down 0.42. Apple, not surprised here, hit its expected move to the upside. I don't expect much more upside to Apple. NVIDIA's down 0.72. Obviously, maybe some profit taking, right? All right, top sectors. Don't really see anything there is worth noting. I'm going to go to the granular list here to see if anything is worth it to say. Taiwan Semiconductor, let's see, they're up 3.53. IonQ, quantum computing, up 2.93. All right, let's see if there's any laggards today. Vistra, interesting. They are down 2.49. Oklo down 2.25. They have had pretty nice rises, so maybe some profit taking there as well. Oklo is nuclear energy. All right, we're going to go back to sectors and see what's moving here. Semis, the leader, is up 0.41, followed by energy's up 0.21. Discretionary is up 0.19. The little laggard is technology. That's because NVIDIA is down slightly, but in Apple. But it's really not down. 0.06 is nothing. Is nothing. Okay? Nothing. So, we're going to get this economic calendar. Jerome Powell speaking today. That's at 12:35. Hopefully, I can get a trade in. I had no trades yesterday. Hopefully, I can get a trade in today. I don't know. I mean, that is pretty much a barcode for 16 hours. We're going to bust out of that. That probably will be the only trade for the day. Okay. But let's see here. We have Fed Bowman speaking at 9 a.m. and we have 9:45 PMI. Okay. We have 10 a.m. Fed Bostic, 12:35 Fed Powell. So maybe Powell says something that moves markets. I don't know. This volume is horrendous. I think Rosh Hashanah is tomorrow too, so this could be 2 sleepy days. I hope not. Okay. Now, if we look at what's on dock for today, pretty busy. World leaders at UN General Assembly at 9 a.m. Fed Bowman speaks at 9 a.m. I already talked about. 9:50 Trump speaks at UNGA. Trump bilateral meeting at 11. So Trump's busy today. Trump bilateral, another 1 o'clock meeting, 2:30 meeting. Okay, Trump speaks. All right. So there's a lot going on today. It might be a day, again, of just, I just hope I can get something in, right? I see something, really is what I'm looking at. All right, let's look at some stock news here. NVIDIA stock fell 0.7 after hitting an intraday record high in the previous session. The AI chip leader agreed to tie up with OpenAI to invest up to $100 billion. Micron stock rose 1% ahead of chip makers' latest quarterly results, which are set to offer more insight into the trajectory of the AI boom after the close. Boeing stock rose after U.S. Ambassador to China David Perdue said the U.S. and China are in the final stages of negotiations over a huge order from the U.S. aircraft manufacturer. Now, Kenvue, this is interesting. Stock soared 5.7%, bouncing after a record low the day before, even as U.S. President Donald Trump linked its Tylenol drug to autism risk during pregnancy. I've been seeing that all over social media. Okay. Johnson & Johnson stock rose 0.8 after Bloomberg reported that the drug maker will withdraw a device to treat acid reflux disease from markets outside the U.S. for commercial reasons. Vistra stock fell 2.3 after Jefferies downgraded its stance on the power producer to hold from buy. Interesting. Voicing concerns about the lack of announcement for a data center deal for its Comanche Peak nuclear power plant. CoreWeave stock rose 3% after Wells Fargo upgraded the cloud computing company to overweight from equal weight, saying the demand signals are growing too strong to ignore. All right, let's go over to some more news. Let's see. Full impact of U.S. tariff shock yet to come as growth holds up. OECD says. Okay. Disney says Kimmel will return to the air on Tuesday, 6 days after suspension. Okay, so this show's not canceled. Okay. Silicon Valley hiring in turmoil after new H-1B visa fees. Let's see. Anything else in the news? Now, Amazon has been kind of weak lately. So, it says Amazon, the company sued the New York State Public Employment Relations Board to block it from enforcing a new law that online retailer considers an attempt to illegally regulate private sector labor relations. Interesting. I'm just trying to see some news we could talk about here. We already talked about Jefferies cuts, ratings will hold from buy. Okay, moving on. Let's just see if there's any upgrades, downgrades. All right, upgrades. CoreWeave, 2 upgrades there. CoreWeave, 2 upgrades. Omnicom Group, upgrade. Downgrades. Man, this thing really stinks for downgrades. That is really stinker. Let's look at the breadth charts, because like yesterday, this is probably more concentrated in AI, but let's look at some breadth charts here. Oh, one. Yeah, see the breadth is just the percentage of stocks in the S&P 500 over the 20-day simple moving average is only 44%. Let's round it off 45%. That's not great. Okay, that is not great. And what we can do real quickly, now that we're going to move on to dailies, let's look at the RSP. That's your equal weight index. That's if every stock was, the market cap was equal. Does that look? That's not all-time highs, folks. You see what I'm saying? Look at that consolidation. RSP has not really moved. That just tells you our market moves from the big boys, right? This is just equal weight. Every stock is equal. This is what our market would look like. Okay? But that is not our market. This is how the market looks. Like that. Pretty big difference, right? All right, let's get into daily charts. I'm just going to get rid of this thing. Okay, we have a daily demand now here. That's a demand zone on a daily chart. Okay, so what's our expected move to the upside this week for the SPY? 673. We're not close to that. Okay, we're not close to that. We're coming towards the end of September, folks. We're coming towards the end of September, and we are at all-time highs. Very, very amazing, really. Where are we now? 666.70. We are right at yesterday's close. Very bullish, very bullish. Let's look at the ES. Here's your ES. We got a little doji. That's that 16 hours of just doing nothing. Okay. Higher low, higher low, higher low, higher low, higher low. It's pretty bullish, folks. Pretty bullish. Okay. Nothing really to talk about on this disgusting candle, right? Let's look at the Qs. Daily demand now here. Breaking last week's highs. All-time highs. expected move to the upside this week for the Qs is 611.05. We are not by that at all. Okay, we are not by that at all. So what do we look at now? What are we at now? 602.10, 602.10. Yeah, we're by the close of yesterday, which makes the market basically flat. Let's look at futures. It should look very similar to the ES with a little doji candle here. 16 hours worth of nothing. Like I said, Rosh Hashanah, the only thing I can think that's taken away the steam out of this market. Not steam, like the volume. All right. Good morning, Chief. So this is what our market looks like. Pretty bad. Not exciting at all. Okay? Not exciting at all. So maybe, well, let's do it real quick. You know what? I want to go over. Let's go over some market internals here. Let's go over some market internals real quick. I could just show you what I was looking at yesterday. Okay, I'll show you what I was looking at yesterday and why I wanted a long. Okay, so yesterday when we opened up, we never got weak, and I was like, "Ooh, this is nice." And now yesterday, interesting, this changed. Yesterday, the top 5 sectors were green, and I was like, "Okay, I've seen this before. This is really not going to be a short that I want to do. This is most likely going to be a long, but I want it the long." Because this is the spot. This is the SPX, right? Let's just look at this. I wanted it right here, but I was like, I want us to pull back a little more, right? Because we were right by a VPOC here, and I was like, I don't like trading by VPOCs, right? Because this was all strong and improving, and I was like, this nice. Come on, pull back. And like I said, I literally was like, should I enter there? Should I enter there? Buy a VPOC. I don't like it. And then I heard that news. Right? So Eternal's very strong all day, right? Then I heard that news. Now, I want to show you real quick. I don't show you a lot. This is the footprint chart. I'm going to show you what I saw in order flow trap. That was beautiful. This is why I wanted to take this long. Okay? Look at this here. I'm going to get my marker out. I'm going to show you something here. And this is all relative, but this was super red at the time. Okay, so I'm going to show you that. So right here, look at these red deltas. Okay, this is all aggressive selling. And in here you can see sellers hitting that bid at the bottoms of these candles. That's why I was like, oh man, I'm loving this. I wanted to pull back to like VWAP to really trap sellers and then get a move, right? And the previous day was this was right here. It doesn't show it right now. Right there was the previous day's highs. So you had that level. And then the news came out with NVDA. And I want it to long 67.31. I think that's around here. With a stop loss here. And all I wanted to do was break the high of day. And then maybe carry a runner. And that's when it happened. And I was just like, because the first push, it got kind of, I mean, I could show you a book map, but that's where I wanted that long. I just wanted a deeper pullback. And then I was walking away. And I was like, you know what? I don't want to make it a habit to trade via BPOC. So I was like, man, that news should move the market. And that's where NVIDIA just started exploding. And the rest is history. Okay. Now, I'm not even going to show you those. Well, I'll show you the hourly chart just because it's disgusting. There's not much to read into it. Okay. Here's hourly charts. Okay. You can see the bottom. That is disgusting. That is really bad. 16 hours worth of nothing. That is really bad. Now, the good thing is we're going to do something. Break up to the upside or the downside. It just doesn't bode well for trading. It's not really exciting. Okay? At all. At all. At all. Okay? So, what are we going to do? We are going to go right into the volume profile, market profile. All right, like I said, I don't know. I don't, like I said, I always analyze live with you guys. I don't look at it and go, ooh, this is what I'm going to say. I don't rehearse. There's none of that. I don't need to do that. All right. There's not a lot. This is just gross. It really is. I'm not gonna put lipstick on a pig and tell you this is amazing. Oh my god. It's not. It is not good. So this is your market profile, volume profile. Okay. Now, what do we do? Most traded price of the week has moved up 67.07. 67.07. Right here. Big demand zone here. That's your defense for the bulls. Okay? And you can see there was many distributions yesterday with single prints. Whoop, single prints. Okay? But the most traded price happened to be up at the top of the session yesterday. That is bullish. And where's price? Right there. And the most traded price of the overnight is the most traded price of yesterday. So that's building out volume. You can see the volume getting built out. You can see we don't have excess to the top. I have to think we're probably going to break that high here. So that range is horrendous. That's a 10-point range in the overnight. I don't think I've seen that. I'm looking at all the overnight ranges are the lightly shaded area. I don't think I've seen something close to that in a while. 10 points? Horrible. Okay? So, this is very easy. This is like last week's highs right here. Demand right here. Basically where I wanted to get long yesterday. Okay? We do have a poor high. That's a double top from yesterday. That needs to be broken. And it's sad that once I do this, it encapsulates the whole overnight trading. The overnight trading actually has a poor low as well, right there. I don't know why that's not written down there, but there's a poor low there as well. Okay. There's really not a ton of details to get into today. Really not. Okay. What I do see is a nice long. Let's see if I can get my teeth into, sink my teeth into. Okay. So let's get right into it. It's going to be quick today. I'm probably going to be done very early. Let's talk about this here. Maybe what we'll do. Well, after this, I'll tell you. Let's just do this real quick. All right, let's go with the bull case because we're bullish, folks. Now, your 67.52s, that is a lot of volume hanging out there. You got that poor high from yesterday, poor low. What I would like to see, there could be a couple scenarios here. This is what I'd like to see. Maybe we just break out, right? Pull back to that 67.52 and we just melt up today to all-time highs. Okay, I could see that very much happening. If you do get a pullback, maybe you take out the overnight lows and you go back to the week-to-day VWAP, maybe last week's highs. That also gets bought up, and maybe we just start to dribble into where Powell talks. Now, if we were to make it all the way down here, I would think the market's probably weak. Okay. But if it's real quick, maybe, and we hit that most traded price of the week, and maybe we just chill out here. That's longs, okay? There's not much to that. Shorts. Shorts. Can the short be viable today? I don't know. Okay? But what I would need to see is all-time highs. Whoop. And then some type of failure, lower highs, right? And I would look to take some profits here. 67.52s. If you get lucky, break to 67.44s, that poor low, you're going to make your way back to last week's highs, 67.31s. Okay, now you do have single prints under here, and I would think if this market does start to turn, you go back to 67.07s. That's your most traded price of the week. Now, like I said, The market has to get weak somehow. Okay? And if it does, this is not much to cut through. Okay? We'll have to see. That's ES. Now, ES, I'll put another layer here. Let's look at the daily charts on the ES. Okay? Let's look at these daily charts together. You could just see, look at from here. It's just pretty much been going up. This is FOMC. It's pretty crazy. Okay? Now you could see the profile. Just want to show you something. There's a lot of volume, right? So this is the most volume of this year, of the rolling year, 6120. Okay? And that goes out probably to here somewhere. Well, actually right here. And then you start to taper. 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 So I feel we're getting very close to probably a top here. Okay? If you watch me during the day, just intraday, these profiles are the same thing. As the more you thin out, the less people are trading. Hence, you run out of people. And then eventually you got to come retest some of these high volume nodes. That's how the market works. Okay? That's your ES. Now, ES in multiple profile view, let's look at that together. Okay? Same thing. See to the right. Now, the difference in this chart, the heat map chart, is a rolling year volume profile. Rolling. So it's a year back from today. The white is this year. So you can see the disconnect here where the white separates, and then all of this is because they're the same, is because it never happened a year ago. It's all this year. Okay? And this is your ES, right? Same thing. It's just a little more detailed, right? Because it's giving me every blue profile is a weekly, every white profile is a monthly, and every candle is a 4-hour. And I can see from this chart, okay, monthly VPOCs, the pink and the whites are weekly VPOCs. All right, so I just like to look at that, and you get the month-to-date VWAPs here. Okay, just another way to look at it. Call it my express chart for volume profiles. So we're gonna move on to our Nasdaq. Nasdaq has that disgusting price action from today that I talked about. Let's look at the profile. Profile, you do have value here. It's still at 247.50s. 247.50. That moved up, I believe. That was 245.40s, I believe, previously. A lot of demand here. A lot of demand in the Nasdaq. So you have some single prints here. Now, same exact setup. It's almost ridiculous. It's just different levels because it's the Nasdaq. It's the same exact setup. Okay, so we're going to mark off the 250, 26s, 27s. That is now a confluence high. That is your breakout level. And then you got the poor low, your 249, your overnight lows, 249.73s. Okay, most traded price of yesterday, most traded price of the overnights, very similar to each other, around the 250s. Let's just call it 250s. Okay, single prints underneath. Now again, this is the breakout point. This is the demand zone. Same thing as the ES, right? Week to date anchor VWAPs here, last week's highs, the breakout point, right? And then you have your most traded price of the week here. It's same setup. There's really nothing I'm going to say different here. Okay? So let's get right into scenarios. And we're going to go for, of course, who's in control, the longs. All right, so same thing. It's either we break out, pull back to this 250s, hold it, and melt up. We could pull back, break that poor low, come right into this demand zone, hit the anchored VWAP, and start to do the same. That would be 1 and 2. Okay? Now, we go deeper, like I said. I'm not a fan of this as much, but we could. If we quickly went in here, you'd probably bounce somewhere. Now, remember, Powell's talking today, 12:35. Who knows what he's going to say? Who knows what he's going to say? Now, bear side. Bear side. Okay. Again, I want all-time highs, and then I need some like lower highs. If we start to get some weakness, you're going to want to take some profits right around the 250s here. If you happen to come up here and break that overnight lows, you're going to get a nice move. Okay. At least to this area around the 249s. You break that, there's a big demand zone here. I don't know how much you could chew into all this. You know, if you really get panicky, you go straight down to the 24750s. I don't know if we see that. I don't know. But today's volume is going to be garbage. Who knows? Powell could say something. Trump could say something. I don't know. Okay? That is it, folks. We done. We done. All right? Give me a thumbs up or a like if you enjoyed that analysis. Okay? That would help out my channel a lot. Now, of course, I would always appreciate you guys subscribe, set an alert. Let me be your market news. Let me be your morning coffee. Okay? Let me give you the market story, the economic news, the net market news, the economic calendar. Okay? Let me give you a bunch of technical analysis. I just gave you the long and short trade scenarios in the NASDAQ and the ES futures. So key. I wish I had someone to do that every morning for me. Okay? And you could watch me every day and study and be like, oh, how does he do that so quick? It didn't happen overnight. I could tell you that much. Did not happen overnight. All right? It's a lot of practice, a lot of seeing markets, a lot of, now I just, it's easy to see it. So, now, if you want to get more intraday commentary, more granular stuff, you join my Discord, Confluence Trading. Go to my YouTube homepage, sign up, click on the link. What are you waiting for? Okay, what are you waiting for? Now, I don't know if Chief's still with us. Apple broke its expected move to the upside on Monday. Okay, NVDA came very close to its expected move to the upside. NVIDIA came very close to the expected move to the upside. Tesla is at 440. Expected move is 461.53. Okay. NVIDIA is 186.02. So let's see what we do today. Does Apple keep going? My indicator says it doesn't have much room, right? Just based on the options market. I wouldn't really want to be long Apple right now. So I might construct something with Apple. Now, what I'm going to offer right now is, and again, it could be just Rosita listening to me. I know Documents usually watches me. Amalia usually does. Not sure who else does every day. I know Mark sometimes comes in. I can analyze a stock. If anybody wants to, we can deep dive a little bit into a stock. If somebody wants me to analyze a stock, we'll pull up maybe some gamma levels. Maybe we might even do an expected move to the upside and to the downside for this week. Well, actually, you know what? Sorry. I'd have to run that. That'd have to be run on a Monday morning for me to really give you a true number. But anyway, I'll leave it out there, and maybe I'll do that even in my Discord. If somebody leaves it in the chat later and they want to join the Discord, I'll do it in Discord later if the market's just like ridiculously horrible. But I'm leaving that out there right now in about 5 seconds. That doesn't matter, and everybody says anything, that's fine. I'm just going to move on and start my prep for the morning session. And I don't think there's anybody going to say anything right now. So, everybody, I wish you great trading. Remember, no trade's a trade. Okay, no trade is a trade. Stay green. All right. If I see you in my Discord, I'll see you in my Discord. If not, I'll see everybody tomorrow morning. Hopefully, we get something today. Hopefully, this horrible volume picks up tomorrow. If it doesn't, it sure will on Thursday. That is a shame, right? Probably due to Rosh Hashanah. Okay, everybody, see you.